This is the first in our series on problem solving. Let's get some stuff done. For me, that was a mantra that was felt like it was baked into my core from the time I was a little kid. I grew up basically on like a mini farm, and there was always something to do. So if I wasn't actively working on something, then there was just tasks piling up. Well, as I got to be an adult and then became a leader, that same concept of jump in and get stuff done applied to how I was solving problems. So what would happen is I would look at a problem, get a basic handle on it, jump in, start telling people what to do, solving the problem, and very quickly what I found was I was going from one problem to the next, to the next, to the next. I was in full-on firefighting mode, and I was that way for a really long time. It was exhausting. What I realized was I was fighting the same fires again and again and again because I was making two common mistakes. Number one, I wasn't slowing down to really diagnose the problem, to really understand what was happening. Number two, I wasn't solving problems nearly deeply enough to really see the patterns, especially in people performance, and how those patterns are showing up again and again and again. To be honest, what I'm still working on is looking at a problem and taking my time to solve it. And I will tell you, part of my brain says, you're taking too long, hurry up and get it done. And the other part of my brain says, well, if I take my time and I do this in a more thoughtful way, I won't be solving this same problem again later. I'll get to solve it once. I really like what this part of my brain says. What I realize I'm doing is I'm trading rushed, feel-good, high-velocity responses for more thoughtful solutions that are actually going to lower the number of problems I'm facing over time. What I've also learned is that as I begin to look at problems more thoughtfully and I really look at the people part of the problems, my part, other people's part, a lot of times patterns start to show up, and patterns that are there in how people think about things, how they communicate, how they perhaps hold each other accountable, how much they decide to stay on track. Those things show up again and again and again. And when I understand that better, both in myself and others, it's much easier for me to solve a problem. And what that really means is I'm not just solving this one tactical problem today. What I'm also doing is solving what's the underlying core behavioral people performance problem. You may think of this one, the people side of it, as the strategic, because that's the team you have to work with month after month and year after year. That's where you really benefit, is by identifying and understanding what's happening there. If I just solve one problem after the next, all I'm going to do is exhaust myself along the way without ever really addressing the core issues over here. Now, lots of leaders, when they think about people performance problems, most people aren't sure how to even identify people performance problems. It took me a really long time to get to even begin to chip into that space. So if you recognize that you either don't know how to address those, or if you find them, you're thinking, gosh, I'm not sure what to do, don't worry, you're not alone. This is exactly why we created the Wingspan Performance Academy. This is a great spot for leaders just like you to get a much better grip on what's happening with your part, what's happening with other people's parts, and also to begin to understand what options you can bring to the table to support you and them in a healthy day-to-day performance.